at 6.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jacqueline Fernandez.
And I'm Brian Mastery. Let's get right into our top 6 headlines at 6.
This top story, Nebraska and Iowa in mourning this evening, remembering the sacrifices of the U.S. Army Reserve soldiers killed in an Iranian drone attack in Kuwait. Those include Sergeant First Class Noah Teachins from Bellevue and Sergeant Declan Cody from West Des Moines. The outpouring of grief and support just minutes away.
Breaking tonight, a vote to limit President Trump's war in Iran fails in the Senate 47-53. The War Powers Resolution would have given lawmakers an opportunity to demand congressional approval before any further attacks are carried out.
Nebraska's Attorney General claiming a video game your children may be playing is a, quote, playground for predators. Hilgers is suing Roblox, saying they knowingly expose young people to potentially dangerous content. He's seeking a jury trial and damages.
The House Oversight Committee voting to subpoena U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi as part of their ongoing probe into Jeffrey Epstein. The Republican-led panel wants Bondi to testify about her role in the release of the Epstein files by the Department of Justice.
The war in Iran making gas prices spike. According to AAA, the price in Nebraska jumped 10 cents since yesterday, now at $2.97 a gallon. Compared to a week ago, prices are up 31 cents at the pump. Nationally, the average is 22 cents more from last week.
The sports world is mourning the loss of legendary college football coach Lou Holtz. Holtz's family confirmed he died today. He was 89. Holtz coached 33 seasons at 6 schools. He's most well known for his time at Notre Dame, where he led the Fighting Irish to a national championship in 1988.